Hello YouTubers, this is Russ Goslin again, and just wanted to talk about this model. This is the Tamiya German Sdkfz 2511 C version. This kit, I started this well over a year ago. I recently moved to southwest part of the country last summer, and this traveled with me. This was going to be one of my projects I wanted to kind of build to pass the time through my first initial year out in this part of the country. And well, to be quite honest, this is one of the problems I sort of run into with my own modeling experience, is that I'll build a model and I'll buy another model, and I get excited about the new model, and the model that I was previously working on, I sort of forget about it. I'm sure a lot of you have the same problem, perhaps. It's one of my several bad habits of model building. Perhaps I should write some articles about these little hindrances that I have. Anyway, here it is. I don't know if you saw my earlier video on the AFV Club Command half-track I recently acquired, and I did make a reference to this kit in that video, and I just wanted to show you all where I am right now, the status of it. Again, I think I called it an oldie. It's still a goodie in my book. It has a lot of room for growth as far as updating it with photo-etch and scratch building and other resin stuff that you could apply to it. So I went and got some photo-etch from Eduard, which supplies you handsomely with 4 frets of all sorts of fun detail to enhance this kit, to make it a lot more realistic to the real vehicle. I'm sure most of it's going to get used up. I'm sure I'll have a few extra pieces. But I just want to kind of give you an idea of the improvement to this kit. You got the skid plate. It goes all the way down throughout the whole kit, and that just came out really, really well. Yeah, and also in the, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of dark, but behind the seats you got the spring coil. This improves it, and the rifle racks and the stowage bins, which are right here, I guess. So these will eventually go in. You can see the markings where I wanted to make sure I had a really good adhesive joint between the model pieces. You know, I didn't want the paint to, sometimes it wrinkles and cracks if you don't paint, if you don't leave the plastic exposed. So there it is. I was able to get some extra rifles from some earlier kits. I think there's a few dragon pieces in here in my rack. And then there's the MG racks. I'll probably throw in an MG34 in there. It's currently going well. I did have some problems similar to the M113 when I was painting my first coat of in paint. I used a gray primer. I think it's Tester's model Acryl. It's like a acrylic paint. It didn't come out very well. It was very watery, kind of soupy. Again, probably too much thinner, and that just was awful. And I think I used Easy Off Oven Cleaner to remove that initial paint and start it over. And I was very pleased with the results. So any of you guys out there building models and you run into a really tight paint job where it just doesn't work out, don't give up. Don't give up hope. There's many different methods of paint stripping, and just start over. You just get back on that horse and paint it. In this case, it worked, and I'm happy. Other parts to the kit that was actually pretty. This was difficult. Was the I believe this is some sort of a exhaust system for the engine. I don't know if you can see it, but this canister, there's some. I put in some brass tubing, and it's a bit this white is some plastic. I just wanted to try to join these pieces. I don't know what happened when they were designing this actual kit, but nothing really fits very well, and it just didn't look very accurate in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure there's some resin or something out there you can use to replace it. I just went scratch build it, try to save a few bucks, and it'll work for now. I'm pretty happy with it. And then used a lot of putty to cover in a lot of the holes that are put in during manufacturing for the tools and such. I'm actually taking a lot of the photo-etch material and actually making the brackets out of photo-etch and making new handles for all the pioneering tools, so they'll look pretty sharp on the fenders and everything. So yeah, I've got some plastic there. Probably I don't know, I probably wouldn't have that now. I think I have some new methods of covering up that stuff, but at the time a year ago my modeling wisdom said to put some cardstock and then put some putty, but I think now I would have some new methods that I could employ. And there it is. And I just did want to make this was the reference point that I made. The AFV Club versus the Tamiya has this really wonderful articulation that Tamiya has that the AFV Club wheels didn't, and I was kind of disappointed. I don't know if you can see, but you can actually articulate the wheels to either turn left or turn right, which I think adds something really nice to the kit. And to be honest, yeah, the wheels overall are they're a lot better, I think, than the AFV Club ones. But that's my opinion, and I just have less filling, less sanding on these wheels. But on the flip side, I am working an awful lot on this kit. A lot of time put into it. And on the reverse, on the inside, photo etching, there's plenty of extra things that just really sharpen the vehicle up. And what else do I got? I got the driver's compartment still in some primer. That's coming out pretty good. Got a little spot there I probably should touch up on. But the photo etch was really nice. I don't know if you can see it, but it comes with the pedals, and there's a radio and some extra detail. It just really looks nice. Brought plenty of extra equipment. This is a half track, so it's going to have a lot of troopers inside. So I got that, and I got another bag of various stowage to put in the bins once they're installed. I'm not too sure as far as what date I want to place my half track in. The C's, from what references that I've seen, they go all the way up into 1943. The Battle of Kursk, and if you're going to do an Eastern Front, there's plenty of references of them being used at that time. I'm not particularly sure when the D's came out. I mean, certainly by 1944 they probably were definitely being used. So I don't know, I might be looking for I was thinking of a 1942 version. During that year they started using a lot of green spray camouflage as opposed to early years where it was just a straight Panzer Gray. And I think it'd just be kind of a nice change of pace. I've never painted any schemes of that type before, and I'm always looking for new ways of painting different things and working on the models. So there it is. I don't want to talk too much about it. Again, vinyl tracks. I think that AFV Club half track, those tracks were really nice. These are definitely, they're very tight as far as they've probably been sitting in the box for a good decade or more. and so like they got a nice good crease in them, and they're not as flexible. But once we get them installed, it'll be alright. I suppose I could use aftermarket link tracks from various manufacturers, but again, I'm not gonna invest too much money on this kit. It's just for fun and my enjoyment and the learning experience. So I'll probably just stick with the tracks that came with the box. And Eduard, not only does they make nice photo-etch pieces, they also come with stencils, and in this case they got the instrument panels for the driver's dashboard. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to install this, because this piece of photo-etch is going to go over. So that would mean, am I going to be masking? I'm not too sure. So if anybody out there who's watching this has more skill in building these half tracks or just general modeling than I do, which I'm sure many of you do, I would really appreciate some tips on how to get through this little obstacle, because you know, it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Do I put this on first or last or whatever? How do I just prevent it from getting paint on these instruments? That would be wonderful, and I'd be very grateful. So that's about all I have to say on this kit. Again, it's been well over a year since I've worked on it, and I'm sort of ashamed of myself, because you know, the longer you put your models on hold, the more likelihood of it's going to drop, it's going to break, you're going to forget about it, something's going to happen, and it just becomes lost in the closet and forgotten. And that's kind of a shame. I really need to just keep on seeing each model through and not getting too worked up with every model that I get, and start working on it piecemeal, because eventually my skills suffer, because every model is going to have flaws, I think, at one form or another. So I think I've talked enough about this kit. Pretty happy with it, and I think I have a few more of these half tracks from Tamiya in the stash. So I got a lot of these things to build, but that's okay. I wish you a good day. I hope everything's going well with your models, and looking forward to hearing from you. Either add a comment. Constructive criticism is always welcomed in my my new video collection on YouTube. So there it is, and thank you, and I wish you a good day. Bye.